Let me think about it, because what, in Mexico, in Europe,
No matter.
and in which sense? In terms of dance?
Turning on the light.
Let me think about it, because
If there was many,
many.
but when you were young,
Yeah.
when you were young, there must have been one that saw you and said, ah.
Yeah, I know. Good. Good. To you. Are you recording now?
Yeah, recording.
Oh my god.
I'm gonna edit.
Okay.
I can edit.
I think her name is Gabriela Medina, and there's something in the way she approaches to dance, to contemporary dance, that is very thoughtful. She likes to combine literature, psychology, theory with contemporary dance in a very reflective way. She's interested in dramaturgy, but like really research, deep research. And she's working with very complex topics.
Bueno, yo tengo dos grandes referencias en la danza, como mis dos padres en la danza, que fueron Nieves Paniagua, que ahora tendrá 87 años. Con ella inicié en la danza folclórica, pero ella me introdujo a la danza clásica y a la danza contemporánea. Ella hizo todas las disciplinas y es un gran referente de la danza tradicional en México. Y Guillermo Arriaga, uno de los hacedores de la danza en el siglo XX, que fue un parteaguas con su zapata emblemático y con las instituciones que fundó, como el Centro Nacional de Investigación para la Danza y la Asociación de Choreographers de México, y el primer miembro de la danza en la Academia de la Danza Mexicana, etcétera, etcétera, etcétera. Pero es un referente fundamental para la cultura, no solo para la danza del siglo XX. Y tuve la dicha que los dos fueron mis grandes maestros y quienes me dieron el legado de lo que hago hoy.
So talking about this deep research, something that I like a lot about her is that she's working with emotions and with physical theater, with building up a character, and with really investigating and going to personal stories that sometimes they have to do with trauma, with pain, but in a very protected environment, because she has the tools in order to contain these fears, these traumatic experiences, these hardships that you find in yourself in order to build up a character. So this alliance between theater and dance is something that I appreciated a lot about her knowledge, and also the way she was combining theory. She was always supporting her ideas and her concepts with books, with theoreticians, with philosophers, with thinkers. So it was layered and it was rooted. And somehow when you see her work in stage, because it is very remarkable in the 90s probably, in the Mexican dance history, you will definitely see it as a very serious approach and a very undeniable, impactful work. I like a work that is antonomasia, that nobody can deny that something is meaningful. For example, when we're talking about Beethoven by antonomasia, I don't know how to say it in English, but antonomasia exists as something that nobody could deny that is a great master, that his work is very relevant and very deep. And that happened a lot with Gabriela Medina, because her work was so serious and was so rooted and was so well investigated. It had credibility, and she traveled a lot, and she's very famous, especially in the United States. New York Times has talked about her.
Did she teach you the process?
Yes, a little bit, and that's how I became interested in physical theater, in people like Alain Platel, like C.D. Larby, companies like Peeping Tom, that are working with this kind of work. Also DB8. They are very deep, and they are working with sociology, with psychology, with yeah. Those. It's not older choreographers, it is older dancers, older interpreters. And it's not older, it's mature. And I think there is a lot of stereotypes and paradigms that are there and nobody questions them in dance, not only in ballet but also in contemporary dance, regarding age, regarding body type, regarding aesthetics. Those are only misconceptions. I think that in other cultures, especially cultures that are not westernized, gentrified, technologized, like for example, indigenous groups, for example, traditional dances in India, in Indonesia, in China, in Japan, they really value knowledge and they really value being mature. So we can see in dances like katakali or no theater or kabuki theater, dancers that are 70 years old or that are 80 years old doing amazing things, maybe contained and deep, but doing something that the young dancer would never dream to do. It took them 30, 40 years of constant training, deep meditation, deep concentration in order to achieve those incredible things they do, in order to achieve that deepness, to develop those tools. I could speak for hours about it. So something that I hate in ballet, I deeply hate, is that you, for example, don't see a lot of black dancers. It's changing, but it is just not normal to see a black soloist. And that has a reason. And that reason has to do with power, with colonization, with a lot of things that are not talked about. And the same thing goes for different body types, for diversity. You would never see a transsexual, in ballet. You would never see a transsexual in ballet, and that's something that I hate. And in contemporary dance, also we have this problematic, like there is a tendency to believe that dancers that are over 40 years old should not be on stage anymore. So in order to protest, to do a poetical resistance, we decided to create this first as a contest and then as a gala for mature soloists. And the first year, we got 40 dancers from all over the world in a 5-hour performance. And it was really flabbergasting. We were really amazed by their capacity. Just to conclude, you would think maybe they were not as acrobatic, or maybe they were not jumping that high or not turning. On the contrary, we got an 80-year-old woman, amazing performer from East Europe, with a 170 degrees developpé. For example, we got Giovanni Leonarduzzi, who is an extraordinary Italian dancer doing break dance when he was 45. And we also got the deepness, and we also got the, ¿cómo se llama cuando es algo? Contemplative aspects that you would expect of a mature dancer. So it is really creating an impact. People are really interested in what mature dancers have to say. There is a very strange cult to youth, that I think it needs to be changed in dance.
La gala de solistas justo nace de esta necesidad de abrir esta plataforma para todos estos bailarines que en su madurez han consolidado un lenguaje único, propio, que no vamos a ver en ningún otro cuerpo y que es una cátedra de movimiento, lo que nos transmiten en cada una de estas presentaciones, que son breves, pero que ahí pueden explayar todo su discurso, no solo físico, sino interpretativo y de contenido, y de eso, la madurez de la vida, ¿no? Que a veces más allá de los 40 todavía no se alcanza, pero abre este rango, ¿no? De a partir de los 40 que está el estereotipo en la danza que que es cuando uno se retira, cuando en realidad es cuando apenas comienza a bailar. Y lo vemos en estos intérpretes que van de los 40 a los 60, a los 70, a los 80 y más, que nos dejan boquiabiertos con todo lo que tienen que decir en el escenario, y más aún ahora, ¿no? Y esto lo único que hace es visibilizarnos, y esta plataforma internacional que podemos tener esta riqueza de poderlos ver desde estas distintas culturas, porque ya nada más del lugar de origen del que vienen, tener un solista de Japón o de Taiwán o de Burkina Faso o de Australia o de Venezuela o de Estados Unidos o de Canadá, y cada quien desde su cultura tiene mucho que decir, mucho que aportar, y esta plataforma lo que hace es visibilizarlos, y creo que no hay otra plataforma igual en el mundo. Bueno, no tengo una bola de cristal, no sabría cuál es exactamente el futuro de la danza en México, pero puedo visualizar, o lo que alcanzo a mirar en este momento, es que hay una efervescencia de la danza, y sobre todo una danza underground que se está haciendo en lugares, que está emergiendo, como germinando en lugares poco comunes, poco convencionales, y con discursos de movimiento poco académicos. Eso me parece de gran riqueza y de gran valía, y creo que va a haber una diversificación muy importante, porque ya no es solo la danza clásica académica, o la danza contemporánea académica, o la danza incluso tradicional académica, sino es una mezcla y un surgimiento desde motivantes muy genuinos, muy auténticos, y que las nuevas generaciones están buscando generar, crear su propio discurso de movimiento en espacios alternativos y no convencionales. Entonces eso me parece muy esperanzador, y creo que hay una brecha. Pienso también que va a tener que encontrar su equilibrio con lo institucional y con lo académico, pero pienso que habrá diálogo y que podrá generarse nuevas formas, ¿no? Ahora estamos en un momento delicado, que es el pandémico, donde las cosas suceden por streaming, o por video, o por no sé, el uso de plataformas digitales. Eso nunca y de ninguna manera va a sustituir a la danza escénica. Lo que se vive en el escenario, en el teatro, con la presencia del público, es único e irrepetible, y no hay cámara ni tecnología que pueda sustituirlo de ninguna forma. Es como pretender tomarle una foto a la luna con el celular. Por mejor calidad que tenga el celular, nunca va a sustituir la mirada humana de cuando uno voltea al cielo y ve la luna. Pues lo mismo sucede con la danza en el escenario. Ninguna cámara va a poder reflejar lo que uno vive cuando está sentado en una sala, o cuando está bailando arriba de las tablas.
Yeah, so we were actually talking about how difficult it can be to generate projects in Mexico, and how difficult it can be to get the audiences to come. But for some reason, the people, very capable, of course they need to be warriors, and they need to be passionate and knowledgeable and talented, like the lots of circumstances that need to be in place. People like, for example, Rodrigo, like he's one of our, or at least that I know, he's one of the most prolific producers that we have in Mexico. When we're talking about the present, in the past there were a lot in other generations, but when we're talking about dance and also a little bit of theater, because he's also a theater director, I have met no one as capable of making things happen in Mexico, never in my life, like Rodrigo. And I've met many people, because yes, I am in the business of contemporary dance. And I've seen how Rodrigo is capable of having theaters absolutely full, how he can produce without money, That's something very intriguing. I don't know how, and in Mexico we need to learn how to produce without money. And we are talking about productions that can cost up to $100,000 or $200,000. And you know, producers here don't have the money in advance. Probably they don't even have the money to pay their basic necessities. So they need to risk everything to acquire a debt, to hope for the best, and to do such a tremendous sacrifice in order to make things happen. And Rodrigo is one of them. So it is incredible how he has, for example, conquered spaces like our Mexican castle. We have a castle because we got an Austrian emperor. So Rodrigo has really done a great work in order to have productions there, productions that have generated a public, the festival, productions that we are like doing transpositions from literature to dance, like Romeo and Juliet, but in a contemporary dance version. ¿Qué otras hemos hecho? Oedipus, you know Oedipus? Madame Butterfly, this kind of, in order to get audiences come because they want a literal, they need to understand, they need to identify with the characters, but that also has allowed us to do more conceptual and more abstract work. So the work that we do for the audiences is subsidizing, or it's paying off the other things that we want to do in terms of transgression or revolutionary concepts